other OEMs, CES really ushers in and sets the stage for a lot of what's to come in the next 12 months, right? So CES is a big deal. I love CES. Look forward to it every year. And in 2016, I kicked off my year with CES, partnering with a phenomenal application developer, BuzzRadar out of London. They're at the back of the room today, and BuzzRadar creates this super compelling, highly interactive social platform that aggregates a number of data points across whatever you want to plug in. It helps curate your insights and delivers insights in new ways. And so we partnered with them last year at CES, bringing Surface Hub to the front of the LVCC, and it went so well with their app running on Surface Hub. We decided to do it again. I'd highly recommend checking out BuzzRadar at the back of the room at 1 o'clock, right outside those doors, or at the front of the LVCC again, where their app's running on 3 Surface Hubs. Get up close and personal, touch the data, understand how you can deliver better insights through a combination of hardware and software. And if it wasn't for Buzz, we wouldn't be here in this room today. So thank you, BuzzRadar. 2016 was a really big year for Surface. So shortly after CES, we launched officially globally Surface Hub. A couple months ago, we launched the Creators Bundle. We launched Surface Book with Performance Base and Surface Studio, and all of those devices are available to check out with applications running and a combination of a number of folks that actually built and delivered those devices in the last few years. So if you want to get hands-on, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm saying Surface Book or Surface Studio, please take some time at the back of the room when we're done this. 2016 was really big for me personally because it was finally the year my girlfriend stopped tweeting pictures of our dinner, which was huge for me. It was just such a pleasure to see that get put to bed. And 2017 for us is going to be a super banger year again. I'm really excited for what Surface is bringing. Hopefully we can, if you are not fans already, convert you into fans. And the 2 gentlemen I'm about to introduce are a huge reason why 2017 is going to be a humongous year for us. And they've really shaped over the past few years the philosophy, the ethos, the design principles in bringing Surface to life. They've created a family. Really excited to introduce Ralph Rohn, our head of industrial design, who looks after the whole Surface family of devices as well as Xbox and HoloLens, and Pete Kiriakou, our GM of program management. So I'll get off the stage. Please welcome these 2, and thank you again for coming.
Hello. Thank you so much for coming, well, so many people. My name is Ralph. This is my friend Pete. And today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what's going on behind the scenes of Surface. We have a couple of slides for you. We broke this presentation talk up into 2 sections. The first one, we talk a bit about our philosophy and our culture, what gets us going, and the next one is our process and our work. Here's where we show a bunch of samples and early prototypes and things like this. But before we get into the details and all the things of how we work, I want to show off a video of our latest product, the Surface Studio, in case you haven't seen it. Check it out.
Traveling seen it before, those seeing it again. I always get energized when I see the video. And a small tidbit, we're gonna weave in some facts from behind the scenes of the work we do in Redmond. Ralph's from the industrial design team and I'm program management. Ralph's team actually made that video. So a lot of the same people who worked on designing the product also produced, edited the video, and brought it to production. So it's not like we ever get too far from the product or the story we're telling about the product. So we're going to start off talking about our culture and give a little bit of insight on the way we do things at Surface or up in Redmond. And the main philosophy that we're going to bring to you today that you can see is basically a model we use internally, and it talks about how products are a reflection of the people who make them. And by that, I just want you to put yourself into a time you've ever seen a product or walked up to a product. Have you ever asked yourself how that product got there? Who are the people behind the product? What decisions that they made? Big decisions or small details? When we talk about culture, we like to think about who we are and what we create. And with that, we have a team of people who really enjoy working together. That's probably the single element that makes the biggest difference in what we do. It's the way we work with each other, kind of like a family, same family that has emotions, better and worse, like the ups and downs of the family. But most important, we have empathy for what each other goes through and what they're trying to do when they deliver a product. And with that, we always think about our customers and how our customers will perceive our products or use our products once they receive them. And so each of the design decisions we make as we go forward is focused on the customer and what we're delivering. Our brand is the people who make the products and how we deliver them. And we keep that on mind when we make our decisions. Surface products are pretty unique. If you haven't got time, or if you have, you'll know our displays are custom. They're these 3:2 aspect ratio displays. They're not displays you go pick up off the shelf and just put into a product. They're custom made down to the pixel level. Our performance that we pick for our product is unique. The thermal designs that we select, the way we design them and put them into our products, and the versatility of our products are beyond any of the competition. Specifically, when you look at how we do touch, pen, detach on Surface Book, or studio mode on the Surface Studio. We do things that other people aren't doing, and we pay attention to the details. What we try to do is get our customers into a spot where they can be more productive. There's millions of people using Surface all the time. And what we're focused on is making them productive and getting them into their digital space.
So kind of brings us to a point, why do we do what we do? Obviously, Microsoft is in the digital space, and that's one space that actually combines us all in this room. In CES, we kind of go and explore this new space of digital that grew up over the last decades. And so we have this framework that we like to think about of like how the spaces that we actually live in, right? And so if you follow me here for a little bit, there's first of all there's the stuff that we imagine, right? That our mind, right? This one space that we live in, and that's kind of guarded by our imagination. The next space is all around us, the physical space, and then of course there's the digital one. When I was born, the digital one didn't really exist for me. Everything is either in your imagination or the stuff around you, right? And so over time, we all build up this kind of new domain of being digital. And one way of thinking about it, how we look at it when we design hardware, is the fact that you still, if you want to go with your mind into your digital space, you still have to hold some physical object to do this. And we think of Surface hardware as a stage for software. So come with me for a little bit. We talk a bit about what is inspiring about the physical space and what is inspiring about the digital space. So one thing that physical objects, surfaces, or these cars have in common, and when we look at them, we instantly can assess their quality. We can assess the quality of an object before our mind even starts to think. You walk into a store and you're like, whoa, I want that, and then you tell yourself 1,000 reasons why you need this, right? And so that's how we program, and it's super important for us as we make hardware. That is a stage to get you into the digital sphere, if you want. That this hardware is as best of a stage as it can be, right? It needs to dissolve in the background when you are, in your digital space, and it needs to have these qualities. So then let's look at what is about digital, right? The space that we are all in here at this conference. And the one image, thinking about the one image that I found that represents this the best for me is this dude. So I think of it as superpowers. Oftentimes, what do we do with our digital tools? We often add a dimension that amplifies the things that we do, amplifies our mind. You know, think of like digital photography. Physical photography was great, and then we added the digital dimension to it, and now we can go and share, and we can Snapchat, and we can, you know, do and edit, and, you know, think about what we do with media now that it is digital, right? And so there's this huge amplification that happens when we add digital to something maybe that started physical. So many tools started out, if you look at photography and all these things, that started out in a kind of an analog physical, as a physical tool, right? Here's an image of a bunch of pen. Pens have existed for hundreds.
So, talking a little bit about what we do and the products we deliver, we're going to go into a little bit of the culture behind how we get there. And Surface started with a small group of people, and we kind of developed this culture over the years. And fundamentally, what we do is we have a small group of people that come from diverse talents and diverse disciplines that start forming the product. And we do it in small spaces where we're very close to the product and very close to each other, not very compartmentalized, not very process-oriented from one stage to the product. We kind of unfold all the different compartments and put everyone together, a designer, electrical, mechanical engineer, and we huddle around an idea. And what happens there is we start this culture of product making. We have certain culture elements that we weave into what we do. One of them we talk about is fail fast. We want to get to success sooner, so that allows you just to rapidly prototype, go ahead and bring ideas, try them out, and fail as quick as possible. And another idea we have is that we stay focused on a common goal. We make sure that all people are aligned and we're very clear from a product perspective on what we're trying to accomplish. It's critical as we hire people and get them on the team that people are aligned with these cultures.
So we talk about the culture of product making, and I think that's super important. If you have ever worked in a startup, and Surface kind of started out 6 years or so ago, it was a handful of people. We were 12, we all sat in one room, we didn't have enough people to have departments or filling meeting rooms, and everything happened in a very close and confined space. And we started to work with each other, right? Just very normal, as a group of people, as a team. And one of these aspects was that we were very diverse. And then as we grew up, we found that this diversity and some of these attributes that we developed are very important. So I brought here on this slide, you see these artifacts. Actually, it's very old, from the Anglo-Saxon culture of 500 BC. There was these people created these artifacts. They didn't have a design language they had to go design things by, right? The reason why these pieces came to existence was it was about people living together, aligning on certain cultural things, aligning on symbolism, and teaching each other the craftsmanship of how to form these artifacts with the materials that were around them that they developed. And for me, it's super inspiring, because this is very much how we look at developing Surface, because we don't have a design language. You know, the next Surface doesn't need to have 22-degree angles and these radii, and there's a book and study it, and you can do your own. It is the same people solving new problems that happen to be successful enough to grow, and then you have naturally more people that you bring cultural insights, the kernel of
we have to look beyond our disciplines in order to push things further. Because only if you look beyond your discipline, you understand that the greater goal is not only to be the best in your discipline and win a design award. The greater goal is to make a product that people love.
what you saw there was a room, 100,000 square feet, over dozens of CNC machines, 3D printing machines. Our prototyping is on site, anechoic chambers for testing, RF chambers for testing. It's all under one roof, and it kind of brings us into this place where we set up that enables the culture that we just talked about. So the second part of our talk is going to be a little bit more about process and work, and how do we take that culture and take those elements and then apply them as people. Like Ralph and I are up here representing a whole group of people in Redmond and around the world. And this is just a small glimpse, but there's a lot of work that goes on. So as we get into the spirit of product making, and those of you who are product makers know this, there's tension in what you're trying to do. Anytime you're designing a tightly integrated system, there's going to be tension in design elements, whether it's an electrical with mechanical engineer, ID, RF. Those tensions and those challenging point of views are what help us innovate. They would help us get to the next level in what we're trying to do. You'll never find the right intersection of making awesome products if you don't allow the tension to happen. And so we kind of encourage it. We ask teams, knowing that we are humans on the other side of those discussions, to bring the tension and bring those counterpoints to the table. And we set up a process for decision making. Anyone running a company knows that when a team gets to a bottleneck, not being able to make a decision in a timely manner is probably what slows them up the most. So we're able to quickly frame discussions and make sure the right people are in the room at the right time so that we can get decisions made and keep the team moving. And those are kind of the tactics that get us going. But before you can get into the tactics and details of the design process, you've got to start with a vision and a spark. And so that takes us to how we come up with the dream for our products.
So it all starts somewhere, and we this space where we call it we dream together. What's important here is that there's not an ivory tower with the people who study taste and the strategists, and they set out the vision and now everyone has to go and execute. As we are very flat, very collaborative organization, ideas can come from anywhere, and we generate a lot of ideas, and we have 999 really bad ideas in order to get to one good one. And it's very important for us to get these all out and iterate. Right? We have this principle of failing fast. If you think you have a good idea, go build it and make it. If you look onto the slide here, someone was probably then missing a book on the shelf, but you have an idea and you have to build a prototype. So there's a culture of prototyping, and even though you've seen a very fancy prototyping shop, our prototypes more often look very, very basic. This was an idea of putting a kickstand on a tablet and then having a cover in front of it. Maybe 30 minutes later, we went to the laser cutter to illustrate it one more time. And this is a plastic model of the original Surface. It all included, it had the little kickstand on the tape, a magnetically click-in cover that we said would be a keyboard at some point. And the interesting thing about this model was, this was the very model that partners took to our senior leadership team at Microsoft, and it got us funding. Because we at this point operated very much on rounds of funding as a startup company. And the insight is, good ideas don't have to be polished, right? We've learned that we rather have really basic, almost shabby-looking prototypes in order to understand, are the ideas good? And then they only take half an hour, and if the idea is not that great, chuck them and go and work on the next one. I think not falling in love with the idea that you just had is a super important, critical element to just go and iterate and iterate. The next kind of space that we engage in is, we call it, we play and we invent. And to some people, the video we showed around with our prototyping space looks like a shop. To many others, looks like a big playground, and we are privileged that we can go and spend as much time as we want in there and just go and tinker around with ideas. The principle that we have is that this place is, it's in a sense it's safe, and you can go and explore. You spend quite some money to machine up some models, and it turns out they're not to be so great. It's okay, because someone else will see this and get inspired and do the next. And so the next couple of slides we'll have is how Surface Book came to its existence from the very early stages. And for those of you who don't know what Surface Book is, we brought the video of what it is as an intro. Have a look. So this is where it all started, and it looks eerily similar to the final product. What I love is everything starts on this very kind of naive place when we design products. Oh, let's do this. The problem that we had to solve through Surface Book, as you saw it in the video, was behind the screen there's a processor, there are batteries, there's more than just the screen, and ultimately when you want to use it as a laptop, the laptop cannot tip over. So in order to do this, there were two options. One option was make it thick and heavy on the base to have a good counterbalance. Or is there another option? Is there a little clip how we played around with this folder? Someone brought it in, I think one of the designers brought it on the Tokyo airport, and this was kind of interesting flying around in the studio, and we saw that if you open it up, if you pretend it was a laptop and you roll it out, the base elongates, right? And elongates just enough to create to change the center of gravity, create a better footprint. And this is the principle how we solve it in Surface Book, where we have this dynamic fulcrum hinge, multiple hinge points that roll out, allowing us to have a detachable tablet without making a clunky laptop, right? So that was the idea. It came along in the form of this paper binder, and it's kind of cool to see the icon radiating all the way through to the final product, and so that's where. It's way more than styling or design. It's the solution to the problem that will create an icon for the product. So now, let me bring you along to this framework here. And this is one that I don't know if we invented it, but we use it a lot in order to hang on when the problems get really tough. The things that you saw in the beginning, the paper folders and the stands on the books that made a tablet, these are called primitive, that space. And if you ride a bicycle, this is like when it goes uphill. And it's just every day, everything is a little bit more complicated than it was the day before. Things get heavier and more expensive, more problems show up, and you just mount this kind of big pile of problems that just don't seem to go away. They just go more and more and more. And in fact, we've stopped programs right on this hill because it was impossible to solve, right? That we didn't think that we could make the right product experience, and let's go and not make it, right? But the products that you know from us have all gone through this hill, and then there's this inflection point on top where all of a sudden things start to become easier. You take two parts and merge them into one. There's a solution that we found that doesn't require this complex mechanism. And it seems to get easier. And then if you push further and further, you ride down this hill, and then we call this is the simple stage. You want to be, when you make products, you want to be in the space where things get simple, if there is for your product such space, but you actually have to push hard enough in order to see it. Because then you actually find that you can make the right experience to the right price point and so on, and so forth.
So take the framework that Ralph just talked about, and go back to the kind of the cultural elements we talked about before, failing fast, and the people behind our products. We're going to give a couple examples of where this stuff happened and how it came to market. And these are pictures that not many people have seen before. We haven't let them out of the lab, so this kind of gives you a glimpse of the primitive stages and the complicated stages that went into the products you see before they got to what we call simple. And here is probably a primitive concept of the Surface Book hinge and what the hinge was supposed to do early on, and our mechanical engineers and designers putting together an element of how the hinge elements would come together. And you take that primitive concept and go into something that's a little more complicated. Now that you understand what you want it to do, how do you go and design it? Well, don't put any barriers on what you're trying to do. Go ahead and fail fast. Try different things. You see different concepts here of how the hinge would articulate and what it does. Part of that hinge mechanism as well is how you attach. And there's something that we call muscle wire that actually will grip onto the top and the bottom of the Surface Book between the clipboard and the base, and how those come together. And again, the team here was uninhibited in what they did. The mechanical team brought the muscle wire concept up, but they didn't start off by saying it's going to be really hard and we won't fit it into a small design. They just said, if we were going to implement it, what would it look like? And so here's a whole prototype, takes up the entire device, that's just for the detach mechanism. I mean, later on, Surface Book has to take up and fill the rest of the space. But what the team did here is they took the muscle wire concept and just saw if they could again, complicated, design something that would work. And then through the normal iteration process, you get to simple. You get to a really micro-sized version of that bigger concept because the team's able to work on it now that they've determined their vision, and they're all working towards that common goal, and they knew they could fail fast and try different things. So this is a good concept. There's parts of this in the back. If you're around later on, come back and we can talk more about it. The same concept happened in Surface Studio. Again, I'm going to take you through primitive and complicated first. But what you see here is actually the design team went into one of the conference rooms, stole the conference room table, hacked it up and said, what do we want the studio to do? How do we go from desktop mode into studio mode? And what they came up with was, again, uninhibited. We want this free-floating sheet of pixels to be able to transform itself from desktop mode into studio mode. And so this video shows what the concept would look like. And that prototype you see there, it's not the first one that got made, and it wasn't the last, but what it allowed us to do is determine the vision we were heading for, uninhibited, again, complicated. And then what we got to is a simple product. A product that became the icon of what we were trying to do, much like the Surface Book icon that Ralph showed before. This is the Surface Studio icon. And all the design elements, again, that are in the back, the zero gravity hinge and the counterbalance springs that go into that, came about because of the vision that we did when we allowed things to get complicated first. So we get our designs done, we know what the product wants to be, and then we try to perfect things. It's one of the hardest parts of finishing a product. And I know that there's product makers in this group right now, and if any of you have got to the end of a program, you know what I'm talking about. We try to perfect our products. I know that sounds romantic, and we want to make the best products there, but it's true. We always ask ourselves, is this the right product for our customers? And when your struggle comes to reality, when you get towards the end of a program, you're trying to ship, but you're still trying to perfect as you go. We create this tension, and we have this balance in our team once again. And it's kind of the art of empathy. I talked a little bit about family before, and this is where it really comes to life. Each of the people working on a product, each of the people that made a design decision or design has their discipline that they're representing and they're trying to get into the product. And only with empathy do you understand what other people are trying to do can you get to a part where the product gets to its perfect balance. That understanding of each other is what's important. We're teammates and we're family, and when you care for each other about what's happening and what goes into the product, how much we care for the product, it then represents itself in the final product. And our customers feel it when they use our products. It leads to the best outcome in design. It's kind of when all the pieces just fit together. The customer won't ever explain it to you. They can't tell you what it is, but it's that right balance of everything that went in there. And what matters most when you get down to it is the details and the decision that made the product happen.
And so when Pete talks about perfecting things, we kind of obsessed and take it to quite of an extreme level. The question is, when is the product ready, and is it good enough? Is it good enough? And there's no metric that kind of tells you and turns something from yellow to green. It's like, yep, you're done. It's really something that you have to feel with your heart. And not only the designer or the program manager, like as a team, you have to feel if you're ready. To just give you an example of to the extent that we are arguing, debating, innovating on all these details. You know, there's the pen, and you guys know we design our own screens, we design our own, touch system on that we integrate in the screens and all this, and our pen obviously as well. Then there are the pen tips, and as this whole system was dialed in, we were all happy. There is Panos, my boss, who is a writer, who writes a lot, and I sketch a lot. And to him, the pen felt too slippery, and then we made it more sticky, the pen tip that is, and then to me it felt too sticky. I couldn't sketch fast enough, and we had these endless debates, and there was, in the background, we tried different materials. There was a material exercise, there was a manufacturing team that ran around and tried, is this good enough? What do you think? What do you mean by slippery? What do you mean by sticky? And then we said, well, you know what, the people are just, there's a diverse group of people. If you buy a pencil, there are different hardnesses, right? And people buy, oh, I like an HB pencil, or I like a B6. And that is a very normal thing, because some people write, some people sketch, some people do both. So we developed a pen tip kit that comes when you buy a pen, little box. There are 4 different diameters of material that allows for the people who really care to find their specific pen tip, right? And so I don't know if we make money on this, but it was super important for us that I could sketch and Hannes wouldn't let go on the writing. And so then this kind of a reflection of how obsessive we get into things. But so if you take a look, imagine you make a product. Many of you do. And when is a product ready? You know, at some point we run out of time. There's a limit to people. There is a limit on money. There's all the real things, the program management requirements. And then there's is this the right thing? Does the product feel the right way? And we try to perfect things from the inside out. As you take a look here in the Surface Book, we designed the batteries, we designed all the electronics inside. We care how proportionally spaced the shield heads are, over the components, so on and on and on and on. And so then at some point, a week after we weren't happy, we did another modification, and now the product feels ready to ship. And it's something that arrives, you get another, we call it the build, the manufacturing team does another round of units, and you take them home or take them in the office, and all of a sudden things seem to work the right way. And it's a million things working together in concert. And when Pete talked about when pieces fit, and this is that moment when we think we have arrived. And as you can see, we go down to the very fine detail, and we go and design our own materials. This is a good topic for another talk in the future. But we really go and invent and manufacture the smallest elements inside the materials to create the experiences we want for the customer. So this is a video I'm going to show that talks about our premium type cover that we have in the market, where we developed a high-end microfiber from scratch. And just take a look, I think it's very inspiring. So in the end, I think what it comes down to, if you have your own company, if you're starting something up, if you're a small group of student friends with an idea, if you're a big corporation with lots of resources, or if you are like us when we started out, kind of in between, embedded in inside Microsoft, but really operating as a startup, it comes down to really falling in love with what you do, because you can hire skill, and it gets you only that far. You have to have a group of people that you call your friends. I'm much more when people ask me what do you do, I design products with my friends. This is much more true than inside Microsoft with colleagues. You have to go and be passionate about what you do, and you have to allow diverse talent, diverse people to go and contribute to an idea, because no one can do this alone, no discipline can do this alone. You have to find the right groove, the right people, and align yourself, and hope that groove sticks with you as you then grow into a larger size.
So that's the story we have. There's, again, a big group of people that go into it, and so we're proud to be up here representing them. We also want to thank you all for taking time. I know it's a busy, busy show, but take time to come out here and listen to us and also check out our products. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.